Alex in Ohio writes to me. Hi, Paul. Hey, Alex. I heard in one of your recent videos that you have grandkids. I do. I have 4 grandkids. It makes me feel better that I have been calling you Hi-Fi Grandpa. I gotta say something. I'm old. I am a grandpa, and that's the reality of it. But I don't feel old. I don't think old, and I don't relate to being old. So as I'm standing here with this equipment and reading this stuff, I feel about 35 years old. Now, I look in the mirror and I am the hi-fi grandpa. When I pull away from the mirror, I'm just Paul. So it's really hard getting used to or convincing myself that I actually am old. And I know all of us must go through that when we do get old, because it's inevitable, and here I am. But I like that. The Hi-Fi Grandpa. Maybe I'll change the name of this channel to the Hi-Fi Grandpa. Anyway, it's commonly known that separates of a similar class will sound better than an integrated device. But I was wondering, how big is that gap? I would hope that a $10,000 integrated amp would sound better than if I just bought the cheapest separates I could find on Amazon. But how far does the difference stretch? And is there a logic to comparing 2 such potential systems beside hearing them? Well, you're right. A proper $10,000 integrated amplifier, doggone well better sound amazing, or it would not be worth the price, right? Now, it doesn't have to be $10,000 if you take like our little $800 Sprout. That is a killer sounding integrated amplifier. We're currently working on a new generation of a similar product. Probably won't call it Sprout, but we're currently working on an integrated that'll be, $1,000, right? And killer product. If we had $10,000 to spend, it would be even better. But if you take separates and connect them together, you can do better. And I don't think it's necessarily because they're separate. I mean, first off, let's just touch on the subject of why separates are superior to integrateds, and then I'll go on with the question. So basically, it's the power supply, right? It's 2 things going on: the power supply, and for the right designer, the ability to specialize in that one thing. So if I'm making a phono preamplifier, if I'm going to put it in a separate box, it has its own power supply. It has been worked on with blinders, right? I'm going to make the best damn phono stage I know how to make in that box, where if it was in an integrated, I'm sharing a power supply, and I'm going to put the best circuit that I know, but it's not going to be this, it's going to be this, right? So I've got a space constraint, I've got a cost constraint, and I'm sharing a power supply. So in general, that's the difference between an integrated and separates. It just kind of in a nutshell, right? So how then do you determine an expensive integrated or a really super integrated, and how to determine whether or not this particular group of separates could be better or worse, like that? And I don't have a general rule of thumb, but what I will say to you is one of the things you can do with separates is focus your energy on what you think is the most important part of that separate, and then build everything else around it. Because with separates, you can optimize it through synergy, right? So let's say that you have put your money into the best separates DAC you can afford. This sucker is as good as it gets. And then you add the preamp, and then you add the power amp that aren't quite up to the snuff, to the sound quality of that DAC, but the synergy of the group of this fabulous DAC and a good preamp and a good power amp is likely going to be A, better than that integrated, depending on the manufacturer, and B, the synergy that you have created by focusing on one particular area that's important to you is going to make a lot of the difference. So I don't have that easy pat, well, if you do this, this, and this, it's going to work. It's a huge subject. I could write a book on it. For example, in an integrated, the designer puts the synergy in. Like, there's 10 different ways to design a phono preamp. And if I'm going to put it into an integrated, I'm going to take one of the 10 designs that has the best synergy with everything else in the integrated. So you've got that whole thing. At the end of the day, you got to listen. I know that's a pain in the butt because there's all this stuff, right? So anyway, that's what Hi-Fi Grandpa has to say about that. Oh God, it's probably going to stick. It's all right. Thanks. Appreciate the question, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye.